Hi everybody and welcome to this week's Linfield Football Coaches CatChat. Joe Stewart here with you on the Linfield Sports Network with head football coach Joe Smith. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here as always, and it's another beautiful day here in McMinnville, but let's break down your opening win of the season, 56-20 on this field against Simon Fraser, up 56-7 going into the third quarter. Let's start looking at the offense. Wyatt spread the ball around to 9 different receivers that day. Nobody finished with more than 4 catches, but everybody was productive, it seemed like. Do you expect that's going to be a lot of the strategy going forward, moving the ball around a lot, spreading it to different spaces along the offense?
I think anytime you see that, it's indicative of an offensive system approach, and certainly Coach Elliott and Coach Bomey do a wonderful job designing game plans to do just that and spread the ball around and sort of let the defense dictate sometimes where the ball goes by what they're trying to defend, and you're trying to find the least defended area, I guess, to get the ball. But then sometimes it's a matter of matchups and targeting certain players because of the matchup that they have. So I think as our receiving core continues to develop and we get that continuity that we talked about last week, consistency, I think you'll see maybe those numbers change, but hopefully we're spreading it around.
Yeah, it sure seemed like that continuity was quickly developing, especially with those younger guys that we talked about, Joel Valadez, Devin Murray, Isaac Hoytle, obviously in the program for a few years, but their first real game action, they looked pretty sharp. So have you seen just a quick development here just through the first couple weeks since technically preseason camp ended and you got more game focus?
I think so, but obviously, like I mentioned, we worked so hard last year. The continuity that you're seeing now is really a product of a whole year's work last year. Yeah. So I felt like we were going to have good continuity. I just didn't say that out of the gate. I thought we had a chance to be strong, and I still do. I think there's still a ton of room for improvement, which is nice. And as we get Colton back and get him inserted in the offense more, we'll even have more explosiveness. But I was really pleased with Joel Valadez. I think he really jumped out at you. As you mentioned, Isaac had a great game, and Murray too. So those are good weapons.
Absolutely. So talking about the running backs a little bit now, the two Connors, Connor McNabb and Connor Morton, both looked pretty dynamic on Saturday, averaged 8 yards a carry apiece and caught a few passes, each with a touchdown on the day. How does it affect the offense? How much more dynamic does it make the offense overall when you've got two guys who are so skilled that you can just interchange back and forth?
It really helps a lot because your players are fresher. His legs are fresher, so they're even more explosive. And it over the course of the season, I think, is where you really see that advantage, because the injuries that come with overusing a back, you really see guys get tired legs throughout the year. So being able to play, multiple players at running back, I think, is really important to have fresh legs going into the postseason if you're fortunate enough to get there. So I love having multiple backs, and they're both very, very dangerous.
Indeed. So talking about the defense now a little bit, they looked dominant on Saturday through those first 3 quarters particularly, and up front allowing just a minus 11 rushing yards for the game from Simon Fraser. But it really seemed like a overall whole effort. The entire defensive unit, you got a lot of contributions from a lot of different players, not necessarily just the starters. What did you like about your depth on that side of the ball?
We weren't sure what we were going to get from Simon Fraser, and so ultimately the 6 or 7 points that they got through 3 quarters is what I liked the most. And the inability for Simon Fraser to run the football, that was something that we were really concerned about in terms of Division II team and how we would match up in the trenches. And so stopping the running game was of great priority, and I thought the D-line did a wonderful job of that. So they won the battle up front, and I thought our linebackers fit the run fits extremely well, and we played well on the back end. We had a few big plays, that we gave up, but I was very pleased with how they stopped the run and made some long yardage situations. And our defense has such a great pass rush that they're difficult, when an offense gets kind of behind the chains.
Sure. And it may be another big defensive game this weekend. That's what we've seen in your matchups against Redlands over the last couple of years. Back in 2018, a 13-0 win here in McMinnville. Back in 2019, 27-19 Redlands in California. Are you expecting another type of game like that with a lot of, two hard-nosed defenses going ahead? Capable offenses on both sides, of course, but really tough defensive teams.
I would hope so in terms of, I don't know if I hope so, but I would hope that both, I would hope our defense plays well, and I think they will. In terms of the reason the scores are low in those games is both defenses do a good job of eliminating big plays and keeping things in front of them, and obviously being good against the run. And so, I think it'll be a similar matchup. They're a well-coached team, and I don't expect it to be a 56-7 kind of day, and I think 28 points, 35, are going to win the game. So I think it's going to be in that range.
Yeah, and then also kind of with that defensive side of things, Redlands rolling out a dual-threat quarterback, Nathan Martinez, a fifth-year guy like Wyatt, but a really dynamic player for them offensively. How does that change things game planning when you know that the quarterback you're going up against is somebody that could change the game just on a dime, just on a, based on their various abilities, whereas somebody that's going to stay back in the pocket a lot, or somebody is going to be looking to run the ball?
Well, it certainly is different, and Coach Vaughn and Coach Rombach, Coach Funk, they've defended an awful lot of offenses over the years and seen a lot of different styles, and certainly, there's the pocket guys, as you mentioned, that are going to pick you apart, and then there's more of the creative style quarterbacks that may not read the same way. They might look for one guy and then go, but so we'll see what happens. But I think keeping him in the pocket and not letting him run wild is certainly of the highest priority. And how our D-line matches up against that offensive line will dictate the way the day goes. There's no question about it.
Sure. Well, that day is Saturday. It's going to be down in California. The only night game for the Wildcats on the schedule this year. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. We'll have live coverage starting at 6:30. By the way, if you're in the Southern California area, it is free admissions as Redlands is having their Rah Redlands night. We sure hope get it. Plenty of a Linfield fan contingency in there as well. Coach, thanks for the time as always.
Thank you.